push me.
Focus, this guy, come on.
Oh, hi.
Oh, sorry.
We're just preparing, and we're here in Mitch's sex dungeon, as you can see. All of these look like workout gear, but it's not. Nasty shit goes on in here, which this is what I'm here for. Today we're going to do a leg workout. Okay, we're going to do antagonist supersets, which basically just means opposing muscle groups. We did one a couple of weeks ago with the chest and back one, which you can find just up here. We should preface that this is actually the second attempt at this vlog. We tried to do this on a 40-odd degree day here in Australia, as hot as all fuck. What you're about to see in the vlog is Will almost dying. 35 plus today, which is not very nice. We're gonna go some venturing throughout the bush, and we're gonna do some running. How are we feeling today, Will?
It's a bit cold today.
What we're doing, I'll like run away. This is dangerous as fuck because in Australia there's a lot of snakes. Like round here, this will be full of snakes. It's always super impressed when you see like people like Bear Grylls go through the wilderness. I'm more impressed with his cameraman because that guy's holding a camera and doing everything he's doing. So I'm impressed with you, Will. Well done. Very impressed with you're walking backwards doing this, by the way. You're doing very well.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, getting there.
The Australian is dehydrated. How are you feeling?
It's just classic Australian heat, you know?
Classic Australian heat, you are correct. So guys, be smart about this thing. Be intelligent, because even if you are Australian, it can affect you. You're red-faced, profusely sweating, and it's not getting any cooler either. I mean, look at this. Beautiful, disgusting heat. Oh, a little sandstorm too.
Are we in the Sahara or?
And now we're back to the vlog. So antagonist supersets, we're going to work opposing muscle groups. So we're going to go quads and hamstrings today. Finish with a little bit of abs. The only sit-ups that I ever do or ab work is sitting up out of bed. I find it real boring, but you're good with abs.
I want to say that I train them, but probably just more so through my compounds and just nailing my breathing and bracing work. So we can probably break a bit of that down as well whilst we're training.
Yeah.
But we'll isolate them at the end as well.
Oh, before we start, I've got a gift for you.
Oh yeah?
That I just forgot about.
Oh, no.
But this is
I feel
for...
like a dick. I didn't know you. What are you getting me gifts for?
So this one, remember when we moved and you helped us move?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I kept saying,
Like
this was like a year and a bit ago, and I kept saying to Mitch, was just like, let me know when you're free, I'm gonna go buy you breakfast and all this sort of shit. So I got you this.
Thank you, sir. Am I supposed to open it?
I don't know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, does he open it on camera?
I mean, I feel like they're gonna want to see
Go
what
on
it
now.
is
Okay.
now. I feel like a dick if they don't see it.
I hope it's the right one.
Oh, hectic. Nice. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm massively into my stoicism, so that is hectic. I was actually looking to get another
literally
one.
just come out. Like that's literally come out a week or two ago.
Bro.
Like it's brand new.
You're a legend.
You're welcome.
Didn't have to.
You're
Didn't have
welcome.
to. Thank you, bro.
Let's get into the workout.
Quick tip for anyone that's like ever using knee sleeves, just fucking take your shoes off first. Don't try and do it like this. I've just gone full idiot mode.
We're doing some bicep work here with a back squat. We're gonna have this eel elevated here. This helps a hell of a lot if you've got poor ankle mobility. Not that Mitch necessarily has, I definitely have. But we're also be able to, because we can get deeper and the hamstring and the calves essentially want to meet here, we're able to get a greater stretch in our quad, greater stretch, greater muscle recruitment, more muscle fibers being stretched and damaged, therefore we can instill more growth. As we're getting lower here, we get this great stretch on it and the glutes. And the most challenging position here is there. So that position there, we're essentially hitting the glutes and the quads in their end ranges. And then on the other end of the spectrum, because we've just hit our quads, we're gonna hit our hamstring and glutes as well. So we're in the most challenging positions there. If you look at Mitch's hammy, we get this nice length. And Mitch has got lean hamstrings, so you can see all these fibers here, but we're stretching and lengthening. We're getting this nice contraction here. So we get a lot of glute and we get a lot of hamstring as well.
Rather than just thinking about leaning over, especially in a front loaded position, we don't want to go into that rounded back. So having a neutral spine is a massive priority. So what I was thinking of, and maybe Abby's as well, is like just trying to shoot my bum out to the road there. Yeah, it's going to allow us to hinge appropriately find a nice little stretch in that hemi, but most of all keeping that back straight.
I was listening to a podcast earlier today, actually. We were talking about where the biggest detriment is in our industry. And one of them said he thinks that most people just don't know how to train hard. Maybe it's because it comes from either they've not been shown that way, or a lack of knowledge, or they've tried to figure things out themselves, as in just looking at, you know, what other bodybuilders or Instagrammers or powerlifters do and going, okay, I'm going to try and train like them. And you're never quite able to, because yes, there is an element of training with being strong and being able to be technically proficient in movements, but being able to train hard is another element that needs to be learned. I think it's a skill. It's not as easy to, yeah, no, I train hard, like I lift a lot of weights. It's like, dude, there's something really, really skillful. There's a big skill component from taking a load, a heavy load, going through a full range of motion, being able to keep the muscle tissue contracted throughout the whole thing, and it be heavy as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't not take rest days, that's like super fucking important. But there has to be a level of intensity to almost like earn that rest day. So when you are training, especially if it's like hypertrophy focus, which is actually trying to build that muscle group, you do want to be taking it, you know, pretty damn close to failure, but being appropriate on like an exercise that you do it on. The back squat will be very bloody scary to try and take to failure, and obviously wouldn't recommend, because that bar is probably going to end up on your back at the bottom. But being selective on when to bring that level of intensity into play.
You have to be willing to go there. You have to embrace that suck, and it's easier said than done, because it's fucking hard. And you need to train your mind to be able to go there.
The main thing with this, set your bum up kind of directly under the bar, maybe a little bit in front. Obviously with the Smith machine, like any, when you do unrack, what do you feel? I know what you're laughing at. Point it up. When you do unrack it, obviously we've got to bias on the heels a little bit to allow it to come back.
Yeah.
So, set myself. When I'm actually driving, I do want to think about probably like 80% through the heels.
Right, okay.
First couple of reps, just find that nice position.
Told you. Sex dungeon.
This is not an appropriate exercise to be doing with that.
It's not even a real exercise. I've never seen this before in my life.
Nice and smooth.
Probably because you lubed me up just before.
We were gonna watch this and be like, that big figure, I'm never training with him. He does some weird shit. I swear, it's just Abby.
It's just me. Yeah. Rich the great person. Go follow him. His tagline literally is here. His Instagram is here.
Definitely an important part of this is preventing any spinal flexion. So just like a lot of leg presses, if we do go too deep, unless you've got like Chinese Olympic lifter mobility, there's going to be some point where your butt's going to want to pop off the ground. If you feel like it is going to, just don't go as deep. So if we do go into that range, lower back can get a little bit rounded. Again, priorities is like, make sure you train with intensity, but train safely. So you notice Abby's coming down. It's going to be a great shot.
Yeah.
But he's making sure that that bum doesn't pop up and that lower back isn't rounded.
This is why I came. This is why I came. For the personal attention. This is why your books are always sold out, right? I mean, PT. So not long ago, Mitch and a good friend of his, Nick, came out with this really, really cool product. It's called the Key Journal. I would just assume it's like a Kama Sutra type thing, but it's not apparently. So
this bad boy is essentially like a fitness notebook tracker, but allows you to accurately program and track your training for a full 12-week cycle. So this book represents your 12 weeks or 3 months, which as a coach you would know is pretty optimal amount of time to elicit some good changes in the body. But at the start, there's a full breakdown on how to use it. We've also got, if you want to, you can track your calorie intake, how to plan your workout sessions. But the main part which people use is, for me I had a rest day here, but you can actually track the exercises, sets you've done for that workout, reps, rest time, and of course the most important part is the weight they've used. We put that together, and then we put together a self-development journal as well, which is essentially just a bigger version of this, but heaps different content. Allows you to set yourself up for the day, affirmations, gratitude, scheduling, all the above. It's been a fun process.
Yeah.
About 6 months we were working on it, so it's cool to see.
nice. I mean, it's so simple, it's so great, like even reps and sets, things like that.
Yeah.
I generally it was just in like this little notebook that I got down here, like, and just writing it out and trying to scribble it all out, or just write it in my phone, and it was just so like inconvenient. Like, fuck, where did I write that down? Because I write it in so many different places.
I think the phone one's a big one because someone actually, they sent through a testimonial, and it was such a valid point. They were like, I usually track it in my phone, but I find when I'm on my phone, I'm then playing with music or I'm playing with Instagram, and like just sort of wasting time in the gym that could just be used in such a better way. So yeah, this allows you to just put pen to paper, everything flash back on your week that was. There's weekly reviews. See where you're at, make sure you track them up.
The link and everything is in the bio below, so you can just go straight to the website and make sure you definitely pick up your order of the Key Journal. Authenticity above everything else, guys. I think it'll bode you well in the long run. So many people you see just trying to jump onto the next trend, and I get that, to build engagement, bring attention, but you're just regurgitating the same information as everybody else, you know? Like the amount of times that people are just like, oh, you just need to be in a calorie deficit. And like, cool, what does that look like? Tell me what, like practically and from a behavioral perspective, what that actually looks like for the 45-year-old mom of 2 people who's got a really stressful job. She might be a single mother. Okay, what does that calorie deficit look like for her? Because you throw into that calorie deficit with a massive stressful lifestyle, lack of sleep, then you're going to fuck her up way worse than her being a little bit overweight. People just regurgitate shit, and
Such a valid point.
you just jump onto trends, and you just try and make them look good. And this is especially prevalent, as I said before on the vlog, is that I think we've got the best industry in the world, because we are the front line of defense. Someone's overweight, they are struggling with, you know, health and fitness and cardiovascular issues. Like, we're the ones that they help, like personal trainers. And then what the downside is, A, online personal trainers don't even need a certification. B, the certification pathetic in itself as well, but you still need at least that, because it gives you a very baseline of like, here's what happens in the body. And then there's so many people out there that, again, without being trainers, that might be genetically in good shape or performance enhancing drug wise, they might have pumped a little bit too much gear and they look great, and now they've got the
scary online, that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly right. Now
to have credibility, call it.
Exactly.
It's scary.
The number one thing I say to people is ask questions. Is that even of me, like even out of the concept we create, I'm like, ask the question. If you don't agree with it, you don't believe me, ask me. This is the trap bar deadlift. There's a couple of reasons why it's really good. It's really easy to teach. So from a skill acquisition perspective, it's actually quite an easy exercise to teach, especially where you get to put your hand position. You remember that most people are in this element of kyphosis. We've got this kyphotic posture, this rounded posture. Trying to get them to do this, then into a pronated grip and a deadlift, it's hard to get them into this neutral spine. Bring the arms out of the side, it's much easier to be able to do. And we're still getting a lot of the same benefits. This is the trap bar deadlift is a bit of a hybrid of a deadlift and a squat, because we do get a decent degree of knee flexion. We're getting hamstring, quads, glutes, and spinal erectors as well. But while Mitch keeps going to fatigue him out, we're still able to create a lot of tension here. All these spinal erectors are working, which is just the muscles at either side of your spine that cause an erection in your spine. Because of the trap bar itself, we're able to get the center of loading is very nice, because we can stand directly in the middle. So we can load distributed evenly throughout our body, rather than the deadlift, which is predominantly going to be in front of me. It's a relatively complex exercise to get in, especially for Gen Pop, especially for beginners as well.
Fantastic starting point. Deadlifts can be, I think, perceived as a scary exercise, which I agree with if you don't understand the movement, 100%. Take time to, one, learn the movement pattern, the movement itself, have someone show you it, but start on a trap bar. Way more friendly on the lumbar spine. You're not forced to bear that load in front of you at all. So what we're looking at here, we're doing a single leg RDL, so a little bit contrary, or not contrary, but different to the trap bar deadlift itself. He's gonna take a little split stance position, okay? So with that, just making sure you balance, make sure you're comfortable. We are loading that front leg. As Abby stands up with that bar, he's gonna lock the lats tight, stand tall. From here, like we were talking about before with our dumbbell RDLs, I'm just thinking about a rope around the hip, taking that small bend in the front knee, and someone's pulling my hips back until I find a stretch in the hamstring. From there, I'm gonna stand tall, nice little contraction of the butt together, and repeat. Notice Abby's back position here though, fantastic. Keeping everything nice and neutral by keeping these lats tight. I know you can't feel them, but they're rock solid right now, the whole time. What happens when we contract the lats properly against the bar, it's gonna keep the chest elevated, in turn, nice and neutral through the spine. Abby's got good range here, so I reckon we'll pop him up on a deficit next set.
Joy. Yeah, I do have a good range of my hammies.
You do it. I've always said that, like posteriorly. Or you.
Because
lower body pulling patterns.
Just practice, mate, you know. Just practice
Dropping the bum back.
pumping.
Are you receiving or
Yeah.
I reckon a double deficit.
Just go double. Let's go to the extremes. I like it.
I love that. Great coaching cue. I'm not sure how much weight to put on. Just put it all on.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it after.
The reason why Mitch has made me do a deficit is because I do have great range in my hamstrings. Now deficits can be used a lot. We did them with Pendlay rows in the last video, which you can find linked up here. We're allowing the muscle to get into their complete, or as much as we can, end range. So the hamstring end range is, you know, it's here, but now I'm at a deficit. I can, with the bar as well, I can get much lower, so a much greater stretch. And then especially the transferability into a normal exercise is the initial pull from the floor is going to be greater because it can generate more force from that lower position. So they're a great exercise if you can do them well and if you can do them safely. I saw someone not long ago, this was at Impact, I don't know who she was, and I was doing, you know when you see people see you doing stuff and then they do it and you're like, you've seen me do that?
Yeah.
And it's a snatch grip deadlift from a deficit. And I've been doing this for a while, so I'm pretty confident with it.
Very complex.
Yeah, and this chick was doing it and just bouncing the fuck out of the bar from the floor.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous as fuck on its own, and then she's just like, boom, boom, and her spine's flexing and shit. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing?
So we were saying before, deadlifts can be seen as a scary movement because some people want to jump the gun a little bit and take on more of an advanced method like that, and then they end up hurting themselves. So, like, never feel scared to regress. Yeah, make sure that you're taking time to actually learn the fundamentals, especially if you compound complex movements.
We were just discussing flexibility and mobility, so we're talking about stretching and doing a lot of things like yoga and mobility work with foam rollers and lacrosse balls and stuff. Definitely beneficial, I think, but as Mitch sort of said, he'd rather work on mobility. So we've got to do two different sort of elements. We've got flexibility, the ability to be able to get into a particular range of motion, being able to take your arm from here to here. Flexibility. But mobility is different. It's being able to get there by expressing strength as well. So being able to maybe carry a load through that entire range of motion, which in itself is going to force those muscles to their end ranges, and it's going to stretch muscle tissue and fibers in order to even greater lengthen your muscle. So we're looking at mobility for you guys that don't use full ranges of motion and want to improve your flexibility and your range of motion and mobility. Try taking movements to their complete end ranges of motion, and you'll feel that your mobility, the ability to express strength through the full range will increase as well. So you don't necessarily have to do a lot of rolling around and stretching and stuff. I think the biggest bang for your buck would be doing that, because geez, you could roll every single day for 30 fucking days in your thoracic spine, or do some thoracic extension exercises expressing it through the full range of motions with a load, and arguably that would be better.
And it's that sort of case where you need to reduce your load a little bit, so don't let the ego get in the way. That like, be okay with coming back in the weight that little bit to make sure you're hitting full range of motion.
It's always interesting to me that people think the more, listen, I think we touched on it a couple of vlogs ago, is that people pride themselves, some people, on the difficulty of the workout or the exercise, like that, like I'm now superior because I can do that, when in reality you're just like, nah dude, I was like, everything you did there was horrible. It wasn't done well at all. The workout itself made no fucking sense.
I think that's where group class environments, that's where
it's hard.
It applies more.
100%.
You know, like a solid workout doesn't always mean like getting to the end and being completely fucked. Which you don't want to anyway. Like, you want to make sure that you've of course worked and put in that effort, but if it's to the detriment of your recovery, then it's probably not the best thing for you.
No. I mean, if you want a hard workout, do 100 back squats unbroken at your own body weight. That fucking sucks. It's not a smart thing to do, but it sucks. Do you know what I mean? It's not a good idea. So next up, we're going to be doing some ab work. So we're looking at, there's various different ways to work your abs, and we always got to think about the intent of what we're doing. So right now we're working the rectus abdominis, which essentially is your six pack. It's what makes you be able to do this, bring your chest down to your torso and your hips up to your chest, basically. We've got a couple of ways of different using this. We can do this pull down variation here, which is hitting the rectus abdominis, but predominantly upper sort of threshold of this. We've also got another way we can go this way, okay? So we're hitting the lower sort of portion of it. So that's what we're gonna do and we're gonna focus on. Not that just doing it's gonna give you a six pack, but it's gonna help with the hypertrophy or the building the muscle tissue of your abs, especially when you once you get lean, you want your abs to pop, we still need muscle there. Like your abs are a muscle like everything else. They still need to be trained and worked. So we're gonna do a hanging, not a hanging. Is it technically a hanging? It's not really hanging, are we?
I guess you could say the dumbbell's hanging.
Yeah. We're gonna do a knee raise, a weighted knee raise or something.
I don't know, you thought of it.
Yeah, I know.
So usually, we take this position, nice control, keep the chest activated.
Good, but you see exactly what Mitch is doing here. This is tight. So this needs to stay tight. So triceps are locked in, it's gripping here tight. Because we want to stay really, really stable here, mate. Still really, really tight here. Jeez, your abs are on fire. Dang.
Let's add some weight.
Ooh. Mine aren't at all. What do you reckon?
Maybe you can also just pick up like 1,000 kilos.
I can pick weight up, but I can't. I got no leanness. Do you reckon 25 is too heavy?
What? Are you serious?
Well, it's the biggest one I can find.
I was gonna go to 7.
Oh, okay, same thing. Oh god. I only did 10 there, that was hard.
Now, you want to pick up the 25 kilo.
What I advise for a lot of people actually is that it's not super tight hip flexors. It's going to apply with any ab movement basically, but our hip flexors, this little muscle tissue here, help us do this. They're super tight. By kicking your knees out wide, externally rotating your femur, you essentially can take your hip flexors out of the equation for the most part. They're still going to be there, but by just driving your knees out of the way, you'll feel very minimal tension in your hip flexors. So whenever you're doing any crunch or ab-based hanging leg raise movements that have been here, think about doing this and driving them out wide. You'll be able to get more range, so there's nothing stopping you here, okay? But also you'll take your hip flexors out of it, so therefore being able to contract your abs a hell of a lot more. What we'll do for fun is that we'll do a set to failure, who can do the most at 25 kilos. All right, here we go.
Hold on. Oh, easy. I honestly thought you were going to struggle.
Come on.
How many?
I think it was 7, I don't know, we can watch story, you can tell me honestly.
I am worried that I can't even close my feet in on this thing. Now, you've got experience with this from all those heavy ass dips that you used to do.
Alright, let's see what you got. I think I got like 19.
Oh, it's slipping. One more, come on.
No! Damn.
No, that was like a half rep. My foot, bro,
You all right?
just cramping so hard. It was just flexed the whole time.
Well, I lost that one.
So working on a rotational plane, which I think is underused for core work, but incredible for, we like to think of the core as like this belt that wraps around the whole of our midsection here. As I rotate, I've got a lot going on. Rectus abdominis is going to be firing, obliques are going to be firing, erector spinae, which Abby touched on before, which are these erection muscle groups that run either side of our spine.
What do they do?
They just get hard. Nothing else, they just get hard. So what we want to think about is really trying not to rotate at the hip too much here. We do want to keep the spine nice and neutral. So we're going to send it nice and wide, keep my core tight. Bang. 2, 3. What I'm thinking about at the bottom of each rep is Abby coming through and kicking me in the guts. Yeah. And the last thing that I'm going to do is be soft through the midsection. So as I come down, bang, tight, tight. I'm still envisioning taking a nice deep breath into my stomach. It's like a Coke can, yeah? When that Coke can's unopened, so we've got the air in, and I'm sealing nice and tight, then I'm bracing as hard as I can. That Coke can, super hard to break when that lid is closed. As soon as we open it, e.g. let the air out, we're gonna crumble, we're gonna be soft. So if you're ever picking up heavy loads, be attentive to how you're moving, but be mindful of your midsection as well. Breath in, brace hard, then perform the lift and hold it. Oh, this is
my
just
nose.
adding to my sex
Put my-
drive. It's not what it looks
Apparently,
like.
it's what happens. You have to put your testicles down and Mitch has to beat them.
The Briggs Thor hammer. You get to hold it for a bit. I made this sucker in
That's cool as fuck.
year 7, and then not that I was trying to track where it was, but I just never knew that I still had it.
Yeah,
And I like moved back in here and I was decking out the gym, moving shit around.
Yeah.
Found it.
that's cool as fuck.
So ever since I started training here, I've always just kept it over in the corner there.
Things like that should be taught at school. You should be taught to be mentally and physically resilient. You
Yeah.
should be taught discipline. You should be taught
Yeah.
meditation, mindfulness, practices, like making sure that you're physically and mentally healthy. That what the fuck of calorie is, like how to choose your palate, your plate, like what you're putting on your plate.
Yeah.
All these things should be just basic fundamentals. Imagine where we could take our economy and our human civilization if everyone just knew all these things.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
that was the base level of knowledge and fundamental information, imagine where we can go. Because right now we're fucking here.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to get here for a long time. Do you know what I mean? I doubt most people will get here.
Yeah, there's got to be a change in the system.
Yeah.
But it comes from people trying to spark that change, and
Yeah.
stuff that you're doing is going to contribute. So
Yeah. No, likewise, man. Likewise. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Mitch. Absolute pleasure, my friend. It's good to see you.
always a pleasure.
See you
Always
doing
pleasure.
well. Thank you for inviting us to your sex dungeon.
It is a gym. It's not a sex dungeon. Let me just fully clarify that. A great training session, but
Yeah.
I think the banter is even better. So it's good.
Training session.
Yeah.
No. So if you are interested in Mitch's sex dungeon, go to him on Instagram. Please, everyone DM him. Bombard him with Instagram emails and DMs, and go follow his OnlyFans page, which we're about to create right now.